You know.
But on a musical level, has the band ever had a low point looking back that you has the band ever felt like quitting or?
Well, you can always, you know, with hindsight, it's easy to look back at, you know, a few years ago and see where we were. You know, it's much more difficult to judge where you are now in comparison to the past or where you're going. But yeah, around about that time, the sort of 97, 98, 99 time, because one of the things we ended up doing was making an album a year, just because that was the only way we would earn any money, because we deliver an album to the record company, they pay us some money, we go out on the road, do a tour, and at that point we were losing money touring. You know, we'd have a management company come to us and say, good news boys, you've only lost £20,000 on this tour, you know. We make money touring now. We haven't, since we sacked our manager, we've never lost money touring, you know, and a lot of bands make money touring. I mean, and we don't charge that much for our tickets. Some bands are like, you know, €100, €200 for a ticket. You know, we're not in that sort of price range, but even so, we still make money touring. And it was about changing the way we did business. And one of the things that we did, which was something I suggested, was that we didn't sign another record deal. Once we'd finished the 3 albums for Castle, which was the independent label we were with, I said, why don't we just, all we want is the money. You know, we don't really want to be on a record label. We don't want them to do a crap job of distributing it and all the rest of it. We can, you know, we felt we could handle things better ourselves. So I suggested that we ask our loyal and reliable fan base to see if they'd buy the album in advance, and that was the first time we did that.
Can you remember when you thought of, was it your idea?
Yeah, it was, and I can remember it. We were standing in the kitchen in our studio, and I'd had the idea because a few years before, in around about '97, I'd been on this internet forum. Well, it was like a mailing list. They didn't have forums in those days, but you know, where people post messages, you know. And one of the messages was a question to me, asking, why don't we tour the States? Can we come and tour the United States? And we didn't even have a record deal there at that point. And I just said, well, it's not going to happen, because usually in the past when we toured the States, we were on a major label and they would always pay the cost, you know, the loss of $50,000, you know. That's what it was costing us to go over there, because we were playing small clubs, you know. So this other guy said, well, how much do you need? And I said, well, $50,000 would probably do it, you know, but we haven't got a record deal. And then this guy said, well, what about if we raise the money? Why don't we all just get everybody together on this mailing list, and they can all put in $20 each or whatever, and then we'll have the money, and then you can come and tour. And I'm like, okay, it sounds a bit crazy, but it was their idea, and they just went ahead and did it anyway. I didn't even try to stop them, you know. And they raised $60,000 actually. Everybody just making donations. They called it a tour fund, and it was that gave me the idea that we could go and ask fans if they would buy the album in advance. We're not, you know, it wasn't charity we were asking for. It was more a case of, you know, or it's almost like an advanced order, but a long time in advance. You know? Yeah. So that's what we did with Anorachnophobia, which came out in 2001. And then we took it one stage further with Marbles, where we had like a special edition with a big book, and it was quite expensive, but it was really nicely made. And I think the fans, I mean, looking back, musically that was a high point for the band. We were, you know, we felt like we'd come out of the 90s thing where it was all, you know, album after album, just trying to meet deadlines and trying to, you know, make sure that we didn't run out of money, to it being, you know, something where we felt we had time to develop our musical ideas, and the fans were behind us on it as well. So.